What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, I'm Chanel Collette, online strength and conditioning coach, contest prep coach, and lifestyle coach. So if you guys are interested in any of my training programs or interested in becoming a part of my coaching client roster, please check out that description box below. If you've been here for a while, hi, welcome back. What's up, y'all, and welcome to Caffeine 101. Before we go into why you might be here, which is my new favorite coffee recipe, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about caffeine, which is one of the most researched stimulants in the entire sports supplement industry. It's also probably one of the most researched things in terms of supplements overall, sports nutrition or not. So while caffeine does come from coffee beans, it can also be synthesized in a laboratory. So we can essentially make it, as well as it can be created from coffee beans. And it harbors the same structure, whether it appears in coffee or energy drinks or in pill form. I don't know if you guys are also aware that caffeine can come in pill and powder form, so you can just take caffeine without having the sugary sweetness that energy drinks or this sparkling water with caffeine and electrolytes contains. So caffeine is a powerful stimulant. It can be used to improve physical strength and endurance. It's classified as a stimulant, but it also is classified as a nootropic because it synthesizes neurons and provides us with mental stimulation. Much of the reason why we love caffeine. Almost everybody loves caffeine in some form or another, whether that be through habitual coffee drinking, guilty as charged, green tea, black tea, matcha tea, the plethora of energy drinks that all of us truly love and adore, or your favorite pre-workout. Mine is from Legion Athletics called Pulse. This is 350 milligrams of caffeine per serving. Many of you guys know that soda does also contain caffeine as well. Does anybody remember Surge? Any of my 90s babies remember Surge? Whew, that was probably one of the most caffeinated soda drinks that there was on the market at the time. I think right now ranks highest is Mountain Dew. Then we start to get into energy drinks. However, caffeine also appears in some lesser known things like chocolate, hot chocolate, and some pain relievers. In the United States, however, acetaminophen or ibuprofen does not contain caffeine, but there has been a very minuscule amount of research on caffeine in conjunction with pain management. Most of what we're gonna go over today comes from information from examine.com. If you guys have not checked out examine.com, I highly recommend it. I pretty much cross-reference all of my sports supplement nutrition information with examine.com, and also multiple vitamins and minerals are all discussed with tons of research articles, and like you could literally get down the rabbit hole. So I don't want to take you guys down quite the rabbit hole with caffeine, but I want to be able to answer some of your FAQs that you guys actually asked me on my Instagram account. I told you guys I was going to be doing this cool 101 caffeine 101 video, and I wanted to be able to make sure I touched on all of your most frequently asked questions or frequent needs when it comes to caffeine. So we talked a little bit about the common sources, but that we didn't talk about the actual amount of caffeine in said sources. So our most beloved caffeine source, or at least my beloved caffeine source, is coffee. Most of us really enjoy our Starbucks, our lattes, and our decaf coffee. And unfortunately, decaf coffee has been tested between, most of the time, around 10 milligrams of caffeine all the way upwards to 20 milligrams of caffeine. So be careful for those decaf drinkers at night, because I'm one of them and I've learned my hard lesson. Coffee drinks in particularly, and espresso drinks, are very hard to kind of remember how much caffeine is in them. You might have to cross-reference Starbucks website if you're a huge Starbucks drinker, or you may have to look further into your particular pods that you are buying and cross-reference with what the company is saying the particular coffee has in it. For example, my espresso pods range from anywhere from 50 milligrams all the way up to 165 milligrams of caffeine per serving. Be sure that you are cross-referencing all of your coffee resources if you are trying to keep a good track of how many milligrams of caffeine you're having per day. Your green tea and your black teas, those range on a spectrum anywhere from 25 milligrams all the way up to 51 milligrams. And then your matcha, you have your ceremonial matcha, which is probably going to be your highest milligram caffeine. It's going to be around 68. And then some of the other matchas and different flavored matchas can be as low as 38 milligrams. Now your energy drinks are a little bit tricky. You have to pay close attention to the labels. You also may have to further look into them. And a lot of the labels will just say per 8 ounces, but you, however, are consuming a 12 to 16 ounce can. Also know that you have to understand the per serving amount. Per serving amount, make sure that you understand the serving that you are actually consuming within one can. So some of my favorite energy drinks include the Alani Nu energy drinks, which come in at 200 milligrams per 1 can, and the 3D energy drinks also come in at 200 milligrams per 1 can. Your Monster energy drinks run at 80 milligrams per 8 ounce. And one of my recent favorites is the Amino Energy. These are also smaller cans, and they actually contain about 100 milligrams of caffeine per serving along with electrolytes. So this honestly has been one of my favorite energy drinks to ease out of the higher caffeine dosage that I've been finding myself falling under. The particular flavor that I love the most is the blueberry lemonade. All right, so as we mentioned, sodas, your sodas like Coke Zero, regular Coke, Mountain Dew, all of those range anywhere from 30 milligrams all the way up to 55, 60 milligrams per serving per can. As I mentioned, one of the lesser known things that contains caffeine is actually chocolate, and particularly dark chocolate. Typically, the darker the chocolate, the higher the caffeine content. For example, one of the most well-known special dark chocolate Hershey's bar, for that entire bar, it does actually contain 30 milligrams of caffeine per bar. And hot chocolate, if you love hot chocolate, it's gonna run you about 5 milligrams of caffeine per serving. All right, so one of the most frequently asked questions was about dosage, or how much is too much, or how much is needed before a workout. Examine.com pointed out, on average, you want about 5 to 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. So for example, if you take a 150-pound person, they're about 68 kilograms. So that's going to be anywhere from 272 milligrams all the way up to 408 milligrams. Within Examine, they did mention that acute strength increases occur most likely at higher doses of 500 milligrams or more. Now, most everybody wanted to know where they're at risk for taking in too much caffeine or reaching toxicity levels of caffeine. And so most research has shown that 10 kilograms per pound of body weight is really reaching up into that most toxic level. So before I scare you with the whole toxic level situation, while that toxic level may be what research indicates that you want to avoid, however, research also indicates that these would likely have to be in succession amounts in order for you to reach that toxic level. Sidebar, the Northumbria University trial, researchers accidentally gave 30 grams of powdered caffeine to the research participants when they were actually supposed to be giving 0.3 grams or 300 milligrams of the powdered caffeine to the research participants. And while the research participants did spend a length of time in the hospital, they, however, did not die. But that does not mean that you need to go out and consume that much powdered form, concentrated form of caffeine either. But I just want to let you guys know that it does have to be taken in a succession, is what most researchers are saying. But does that not mean that your entire system as a whole, your central nervous system, your adrenal glands are not being overworked when you do ingest too much caffeine? It's pretty likely. On a good rule of thumb, I would stick to the 5 to 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight just to be on the safe side. And again, it is really been shown that around your training window, you can see acute strength and performance benefits from having caffeine, hence why it is in most of our pre-workout supplements. A good general rule of thumb is that 400 milligram amount. The US National Academy of Science has concluded that this amount doesn't raise any health concern or negative side effects of any amount. So especially if you are needing this for improved cognitive functioning or improved performance in training or any sort of physical activity that you are going to be doing. Now, pregnant and breastfeeding women, as many of you guys know, if you're pregnant and breastfeeding, caffeine should be kept to a minimum. So most research has indicated that 150 milligrams to 200 milligrams per day is all you really need to consume. The next thing is before bedtime. Everybody's going to experience caffeine a bit differently. Traditionally, the half-life is about 5 hours. So 5 hours before your bedtime, you really want to avoid any and all caffeine at all costs, truly. And anything taken close to bedtime, 100 milligrams or more, is really going to be shown to cause disrupted sleep. So again, my bad habit used to be years ago having that decaf coffee with my square of dark chocolate, and who knows, I could have been, depending on the type of decaf coffee I was consuming, the blend of cacao, whether that be 70 or 80% pure dark chocolate, that's probably going to raise a little bit higher. So I could have been getting upwards to 50 to even 100 milligrams of caffeine right before bed. So that was probably a pretty bad habit I'm glad that I have slowly started to break. Slowly. I preface that with slowly. The other thing that is very common in pre-workout supplements is theanine. And theanine has been shown to offset or alleviate some of the jittery effect that caffeine has. So that's why when they're ingested together, it tends to be a smoother stimulant, and you tend to experience it for a little shorter amount of time. Theanine can be possibly shown in research to reduce that half-life potential of caffeine. All right, second to last thing, and another very commonly asked question is, am I insensitive to caffeine, or at which level do I start to become insensitive to caffeine? So habitual caffeine use does unfortunately lead to tolerance. This means that the effects of caffeine will be diminished. You'll no longer feel that sensation or stimulant, and often the only thing you actually do get to experience from the caffeine is the anti-sleep effect, which means you just struggle with being able to go to sleep at night. And that is a sign of that adrenal response to caffeine. In order to defeat caffeine's tolerance, you do have to avoid it for a long length of time. Most research has shown that anywhere from 25 to 30 days is really what you need to remove that tolerance of caffeine that you may develop over time. So I highly suggest those 20 to 30 day breaks from caffeine. It's challenging, I'll be honest. I've tried my best to decrease my amount. I am dieting right now, so that does make it exceptionally far more challenging. My clients are also trying to sleep better, reduce their levels of stress, reduce their anxiety throughout the day, reduce their jitteriness throughout the day. I definitely bring up in conversation that we may need to take a 20 to 30 day break from caffeine just so we can possibly use it in an upcoming dieting phase for its stimulant effect, or so you can consume the energy drinks while you're in your dieting phase to get you through said dieting phase. In terms of cycling caffeine, I've also personally tried, just having the morning cup of coffee. Luckily, Legion Athletics does have stim-free pre-workout supplements. There's plenty of stim-free pre-workout supplements on the market now. So if maybe you need that morning jolt to prevent any sort of caffeine headache withdrawal from happening, your options can be just having it in the morning and then trying to avoid it for the entire duration of the rest of the day. And that's going to slowly diminish your tolerance as well for it. Or if you're the opposite and don't experience the caffeine withdrawal headaches in the morning, then you can strictly use caffeine centered around your training window exclusively. Then you're going to possibly reap the benefits far more of the training performance and acute strength gains that have been shown to have when caffeine is consumed around your training window. That wraps up this quick caffeine lesson. Now let's come down to my kitchen so you guys can see my new favorite coffee drink. And I've hacked it to where it's actually a low-calorie Dalgona coffee. If you guys haven't heard of Dalgona coffee, it is this frothy coffee that floats on top of your milk of choice. Particularly my milk of choice will be unsweetened cashew milk, but I have made it for my husband with both 2% and whole milk, and he absolutely adored it. You guys are gonna get to enjoy my recipe for low-cal Dalgona coffee. All right, so for the low-cal Dalgona coffee, you're gonna need a measuring cup that you can heat up the water in your microwave, or you can heat it up on your stovetop, whatever. This is gonna be where I put my hot water in. You're gonna want a measuring tablespoon. My milk of choice, which is gonna be unsweetened cashew milk. Instant coffee, I'm choosing decaf because I like to have this option later in the day. So right now it's about 4:10 p.m. So obviously I'm close to my sleeping window and my half-life hours of coffee. So I'm gonna go with decaf, but this does not mean that it is completely caffeine free. Let's see if they actually list it. And this is, like I said, the challenge with finding out your caffeine milligrams, because often decaf options, half-calf options don't actually list the amount of caffeine. So you do have to kind of estimate. This one does not actually list how much caffeine is actually in the decaf, but I actually just ordered this. It's higher ground instant coffee. I ordered this organic option on Amazon. Then the secret ingredient is egg whites, and I'm using egg whites to fluff up the mixture. This is just a little bartending trick. If you guys don't know me personally, I spent well over 10 years, late teens, early 20s, bartending. And one of the tricks that I learned was using egg whites to make things kind of frothy. So I'm bringing that trick over into this Dalgona coffee option because I made the Dalgona coffee originally just low calorie without real sugar, and it actually did not become frothy. And last thing, you're going to want powdered stevia. Powdered stevia versus liquid stevia, I promise you need powder. You're also gonna need an electric mixer of some sort, whether that be the handheld or I have my KitchenAid here that you guys are gonna see. So you're gonna need that in terms of supplies. You're gonna want your glass to fill with ice momentarily and a stirring spoon or possibly layering scooping spoon. You'll see in just a second why you will want that. All right, so let's get started. First things first, the 2 tablespoons of your decaf coffee. Whoop. 2.5 tablespoons of decaf coffee in this particular recipe. And 1 tablespoon of powdered stevia, 1 tablespoon of liquid egg whites, and 1 tablespoon of boiling hot water. You want to mix this for a full 3 minutes. That is key. It's got to be mixed for a long period of time. Don't give up on it. It's gonna get fluffy, I promise. Now that you have your fluffy coffee, like so fluffy, you're gonna take your milk of choice, fill it with a little bit of ice. You're gonna want a spatula to scoop out, and you're literally going to plop it on top. And there you have your low-cal Dalgona coffee option. And to make this not low-cal, again, you just want to use regular traditional sugar. You want to use 2 tablespoons of sugar versus the 1 tablespoon of stevia and 1 tablespoon of liquid egg whites. The milk choice that you choose is going to change the calorie allotment as well. If you don't get a Dalgona mustache, then you didn't do it right. That covers this chat about caffeine. Hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys take away a little bit of information about what you need to incorporate or not incorporate caffeine in your day-to-day life. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel so you never miss a video from me. Check out that description box if you're interested in any training programs or coach. Seriously? It's funny. It's funny. No. Be sure to stop! You stop! You want some?
Oh.
Get it!
Oh, Dalgona.
Oh God! Show him. Hold on.
Ah, I like this.
Put it on his nose.
No, it's pretty good. Oh, so good.
That was the best.
Good look.
Yeah, I'm always on go. Better watch your I go. Don't forget to let you know I be ballin'. I would drop it out, buy a house in New Orleans. Up the empty and I'm sure I'm important. Win a Grammy, I'll be ballin' like